The smaller, more profesh-looking one is $10.
Only $10? You can afford not to buy it.
And the other one is $5.
Only $5? You can afford not to buy it.
And because I'm bad at math, if you buy both of them, it's $15.
You can't afford not to buy it.
Clickbait article. 10 things you didn't know about being decapitated. 1. Scientifically, if you're decapitated, then you're dead. 2. The severed head contains enough oxygen to keep it conscious for about 12 seconds after it leaves the body. One man's account states that after the car accident, he saw his best friend's face flinch in grief at the sight of his own body graduation cap flung against the wreckage. 3. Decapitation is seen as the most humane way to kill a person. That there is no dull ache any appendage remembers after its fall, so theoretically, it would have hurt me less to be beheaded than for you to leave. 4. Professional decapitations were so culturally popular that executioners created fashion trends based on what they wore to the chopping block. And 5. At the chop, the head blood can pulse out for about up to 30 seconds after severance. Months later, I wake up guzzled, my skin flakes off into my sheets, bruises float to my spine's surface. I mean, I would have cut my hands off to keep holding yours, but that's not the body part of mine you wanted. 6. I remember once you fucked me so hard I blacked out, saw my own body flung skyward. 7. I wonder if the audience members thought the executioner's clothes were dyed that color or just stained it. 8. The word murder is not used for victims of execution. That word is reserved for people who did not deserve to lose anything. Theoretically, if you're being decapitated, you should be grateful they didn't choose a slower way to discard you. 9. I would not say you ghosted me. Rather, you phantom out of my mouth and sit on the bed next to everyone I bring home. They all like the way my neck pendulums under their hands. They kiss me softly like they want me to remember it, and I flinch away, taste blood. I wonder if they think I've always been this flighty. 10. There is no confirmation that decapitation is also the most humane way to kill chickens, but it is done anyway. I mean, I was such a good pet. You came towards me, cooing. I didn't even see the knife. Yeah, all my poems are kind of about decapitation. Like, even if they're not actually about decapitation, they're kind of like metaphorically about decapitation. So it's a brand. Linette, decapitation poet Reeman? Yes. If this were a cipher, that would be my name on the cipher. Okay, so he's doing a poem about a girl, and it's a pretty good poem, and he names her Chandelier. So something about refracting light in his eyes. Follow me. Out of the room. Again. And I want to name this follow friend after the person holding the eyes. I want to name his name after a summer spent doing poems about girls named People. How his pen sways the world chandelier, and I am caught in the light. And the side hallway of our poetry venue is quiet, dim, and he refracts out of the room, grabs me like something breakable, breaks me like something light, shards his teeth and I bleed, but my skin doesn't shatter, so I bloom into a person 20 minutes ago, he was doing a poem about a girl, and I know I am not the girl because I am not a girl, but he still calls me by the softer name because it is easier to get hard that way, to undress me in his head because he assumes I look like how I should, to forgive his hands for calling him faggot when they wanted the rest of me. Boy disguised as dress, girl and her leg hair, her arm hair, her hair, and I think he's scared he liked it. So someone walks by and sees 2 pairs of chandelier limbs, and I guess they assume this friendship renamed guess. I don't get to name what I want after myself anymore. Guess, I get into my car. My building body suspends my ceiling heart as if this was my first time being hung. If only I was a real chandelier or a real girl. Something too beautiful to ruin without light. I drive away from the venue without looking at myself in any mirrors. The hickey in the center of my neck is the size of a child's fist. At first, my now ex-partner doesn't believe me. Surely I hung myself in front of his eyes like a raw metaphor. Let him do whatever his fag panic hands needed to still wake up a person. How human to name a mirror after a friendship and attempt to find yourself in it. How brave to break me open in search of the summer girl, the one with the breasts and small hands. Only a coward would have held me. Alright, last poem, and then Alain Ginsberg is going to follow me up, and then you're all going to buy our merch, and it's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah!
On my hand, oh baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. On my hand, oh baby, it's a long way down, a long way. On March 28th, 1941, Virginia Woolf walks into the river Ouse after filling her overcoat pockets with stones. On the same day, in 1996, I am born and everyone is surprised. I am born, and when I am old enough to have eyes, my mother will show me where on her body I was once only a wound, and she will flinch against my palm when I touch this place, and I will know how home can feel a phantom limb. So I am born, and I spend the rest of my life thus far researching how to die. If Virginia Woolf's body works the same way the standard medically observed human body works, it takes about 3 minutes for her to drown. But say Virginia knew this, so held her breath and let it out all slow, like if she shrugged off the rock weight, she could swim back home without even inhaling again. And then, say Virginia knew how long it took for a person to die, and she dragged it out for as long as she could. All 59 years of her heart giving out. Say she knew her body not standard and tried to normal it anyway. Say she was so surprised that it held for this length that she kept inhaling on accident. There are no Google search results for did Virginia Woolf know how to swim, but there are over 30 million for how long did drowning take. Virginia Woolf walks out of Google search on methods of clean suicide, and I am not surprised. Virginia Woolf walks into this womb return after filling her lungs with practice. Virginia Woolf walks into my apartment, asks me why I'm still crying, like shouldn't I be used to breathing, and hands me her weight. And in 2017, my mother asks me what I want for my 21st birthday, and I have forgotten how to holiday existence, so I tell her I'm a pretty good swimmer, but I own an overcoat, and hold my hand, oh baby, it's a long way down to the bottom of the river. Hold my hand, oh baby, it's a long way.
Are y'all enjoying your picture so far? Say yeah. Alright, so it's the awkward part of the show where we pass on a tip jar. Please, please, please buy their merch if you feel so compelled. But even if you do or you don't, let's show them some love. Coming all the way from Baltimore and New Jersey. We want them to come all the way back. Can't be hippopotamus. Fuck you, Zach, I heard that. So, I'm going to pass around a tip jar and we're going to keep it moving, yeah? Give it up for Alain Ginsberg!
Retelling of The Boy Who Cried Wolf. Okay, so the story begins and a trans woman is murdered at 4:15 in the morning and you do not know who she was, just that she was, wait y'all. Let's bring it back. Let's start earlier. Let's start at the beginning. Let's start with the written word. Let's start in the Bible. Let's start with the body careening through a canyon singing hell, calling all the angels down from heaven, and they saying, baby girl, do not sing hell, you just got bones like matches, skin like flint, how combustible, we have birthed you to be drowning here. And so, the trans woman in the Bible runs through the field in which she works, and the neighbors hear the song but know not what to do but sleep, and how we do so forget our lyrics, how we do know that men will stick their feet into the bodies of trans women and lift the voice of a woman out from their wetness. Yes. In Aesop's fables, no one dies in a literal fashion, but if in the story every sheep is a trans person, then we will not be able to rub the blood of a freshly slain ewe across the mast of our doorframes, because there are not enough kids allowed to grow up to become ewes anyways. In the story, a flock of sheep is found in Louisiana, and all of the doorframes are stained with fresh meat. In the story, my neighbor comes to me, say I am a sheep, say she holds me and asks how I must be feeling if even she is sad by this. Enter Act 1, Earth. Lucifer leaves heaven in all of its convenience, replicates herself into something that's the opposite of piety. The world ending, the world's ending, the world ends, and there are not enough graves left for all these bones left behind. Enter Act 2. Here's the facts. A trans woman was murdered at 4:15 in the morning after two wolves entered a vehicle and drove away. Her belly was bit open by a bullet. 3 people said they heard her song, but it is so easy to ignore a sheep's bleeding if you forget their names too. If you rub together the bones of a trans person fast enough, you will catch fire. So, is that why we are flaming? Is our wool nothing but kindling? The media finds the body of a woman who is a dead woman and they name it a boy, and the world says that is a lovely sheep. A community is slaughtered and they call it a diet. Call it protein. Must be cooked but not to be made ablaze, so why not be lit? What is sin if not an oven? What is hell but that which spices something into being worthy of remembering? And the story goes that a canyon folded itself into a community. And what is that if not a grave? What do you do with graves but show up with shovels to help cover all the bodies? My name's Alain Ginsberg. I'm from Baltimore. Linette is from New Jersey. Both of us use they, them, their singular pronouns. Shout out to that. Shout out to words that mean things and determine respect. I love that shit. I respect y'all as humans, and y'all respect me as a human. Fuck yeah! And we all use they for me. Bless up. Nice. I'm gonna do another poem. I have 2 books for sale, but I decided, you know what? I write a lot of fucking poetry, so I'm gonna do some other shit, because you can read the book when you buy it. Yeah! That's the easy shit. So, there's a musician named Angel Olsen who said every artist should have a piece called Unfuck the World. So this is my poem titled Angel Olsen says every artist should title a piece Unfuck the World. And in the news story, a deer is seen with their mouth around a human carcass, and who set up the cameras around a dying body only to film the deer instead? But in the same week, a new service emerges that will mail your ashes to a congressperson after you die. And the joke is, You will not outlive an old politician, one who will wear your humanity in their mouth, and in this way, they are all humans in deer's fur. They crowd around my body and gnaw the skin away as the world watches and conjures write-ups. There is a deer with bones in their mouth. Even they know that the marrow is a delicacy, and the joke is everyone is preoccupied that this politician is on all fours using a demitasse spoon to funnel the marrow down their throat, and maybe that is what healthcare is supposed to be. Living long enough to be consumed. Caring for another's health so much you own them. There is a news article about Chechnya again, and the ways in which the rounded up queer youth are condemned to death by their parents. And there is no health care for their health, not that their health is against their government. And is that what it means to be queer? To be human and queer is to be found in a forest, eaten by animals who are on all fours. And I say I enjoy my job because they give me insurance, and the 70-hour paychecks seem more compassionate in that way. The more I live, the less likely I will be able to control when or why I have died. And it is May Day, and I'm working again, thinking of Louis Ling and the other Haymarket Square bombers, and how the night before his execution he committed suicide. This anarchist slid a blasting cap into prison and detonated it in his mouth. I wonder what I would feel if in Chechnya and condemned to death. There are reports that families are being contacted to execute their queer children, but we keep deleting our family members from Facebook, so who would bring the bullets to send me into a forest for deer to consume my bones? Or maybe that's healthcare. Like Ling, I will die in agony regardless of the paths in which my life takes, so why not go to the politicians as they stand in a circle in the forest and light explosives in my mouth? Only half of Louis Ling's face was detonated and he lived for another 6 hours. So I imagine I would too. Before my bones become a consumable thing, I want to imagine that Louis Ling was able to cry from his remaining tear duct. Wonder if the politicians would call my family anyways. And they would be weeping, for they were unable to find my body, living enough to murder it. And what a shame that is. What a shame. Okay. Deuces. I'm going to do two more, so I'm going to read one from this, my newest collection. It's the title book. If you have a problem with terse relationships with someone's own Judaism or vaginoplasty or mentions of surgery, then whoops, I told you about it. After the man in the cafe who said the Jewish people really found out a lot of ways to fuck up a fish. And on the 8th day, after an infant is born with a penis, the ceremony of bris is performed, and for me, my bottom surgery began. There's one thing I will accomplish, is that I started transitioning since birth and will have the longest surgery ever recorded. A man in the cafe mentions a love for gefilte fish. The way the Jewish people have made creation out of a world they were given, and I understand the metaphor now. Understand when men on the TV talk about the smell of vagina is most often done while I am drowning, breathing water. Something smells fishy. And on the 8th day, when there is no longer a dominant female, the clownfish's most dominant male will transition. And that too is how I express Judaism. My father yelling from the top of the stairs and me in the basement, waist deep in creek water, swimming, looking for the next step in the Torah to split my core and flip the skin in half, to bloom in my waist. And this is one way I have learned what schmuck means. I am born, and on the 8th day I start researching vaginoplasty. Watch videos where there are no parts wasted. How it looks like a flower is blooming, and the blooming flower is cause for celebration, and my body is deposited into the bay full of formaldehyde. There are multiple species of fish that change gender. It is not uncommon that one could have a single Jewish parent. And so my body swims into the world, and on the 8th day, it enters the market. My mother passes me to the childless, to my father, and the fishmonger prepares me for a meal as seaweed grows against my thighs. Okay. Here's my last piece. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to buy merch if you want. Feel free to just be happy with your life. That's cool. I'm going to read this poem because it probably will never get published in any kind of publication, and it's my only happy piece. I have to get in the mood. You can do it, Alan. Flavortown, a Guy Fieri persona poem. I have been hungry my whole life. Born on the breast of corn stalks, you know me by the tips of my head. Although not a tall man, my voice speaks to the top shelf. I have raised myself on the seesaw of boardwalks and pretzel holds, fueled myself with this kind of awe, only meant to go somewhere, and so I went somewhere, leagues away from myself. You will know me by the spikes on my crown. Not quite a king, I have earned myself some kind of title, and I have been hungry for so long. And California cannot satiate me for very long, and when I try to dine on this kind of soil, all I taste is the salt in the corn stalks of my youth. And so I have to drive onward, riding on the muscle of imported steel, colonized metal horses searching for a cavern big enough to dive into. My great-grandfather's name was too much of a taste for this American mouth, and yet that is my mouth. So I renamed this immigrant's palate so I can learn how to cook desperate. When people know me, it will be by the souls dripping out of my mouth, a patchy existence of bodies I will step on to get here. It's okay though. I keep them all in my gut, and I know my jaws know a hard swallow. Of course I know how to cook a swallow. And yet, I am still hungry. Sitting in the drive-in of my own creation, unlocking the gates to a city no one will visit for more than a tourist attraction. Does the child that worked on wooden panels, bleeding sweat into the dough of a tourist's mouth live here? Is that why I call my home Flavortown? Because I know the taste of my self-worth and how to succeed at a game while becoming one in the process. In an interview, Guy Fieri said that, of course, there is no Flavortown unless you believe it. Thank you.
Give it up for your features, Alain and Linette. Give it up, give it up, give it up. And give it up for all the poets that touch stage tonight. Okay, so that usually would be the end of our show. But we're going to do something called ad-lib. You might ask, what's ad-lib? Thank you. Ad-lib is where anyone can come up on stage. The crowd's going to give us 3 random words, and then we're going to make a poem on the spot with those 3 random words. Okay, so kind of like freestyle a poem. Make sure, though, you don't forget, even if you're not buying merch, to go and say anything positive to Alain and Linette if they touched you tonight. All right, so one more round of applause for our features tonight. And if you are down with ad-lib, come to the stage. Come to the stage. We got 1. No,